Greg Koronikolov. I'm part of the Sitefinity team. I'm an engineer from the Bulgaria office, and I've been with the company for over 5 years now. The topic that we're going to discuss is a really hot and trendy topic as of late. We will be talking about the newest addition to the Sitefinity features portfolio, and that's the Digital Experience Cloud. I'm not entirely sure how many of you have seen Sitefinity already, or how many have heard of the Sitefinity Digital Experience Cloud. So just to make sure that we've got everybody on the same page, what I'm going to start off with is a few clarifications of what this all is about. So, enhance the customer journey and increase conversions with Sitefinity Digital Experience Cloud. First, what is the Sitefinity Digital Experience Cloud? Well, the easiest way for me to explain this is that it's an application, it's software as a service. It's a platform that allows you to aggregate information from multiple resources, information about customer behavior, analyze this information, and provide you easy to understand metrics, easy to understand results, and gives you conclusions and tips and tricks on how you can optimize your website. Now we're going to go into this in further detail. Now let's review the opportunities and challenges before the digital marketing today. So we are witnessing exponential increase of digital marketing spending. To put it in numbers, just in the US, we're spending over $150 billion per year for marketing. So quite a big portion of our revenue is spent on that. And a lot of marketers find it challenging to meet their goals. The problem for marketers is this. This is what used to happen before. A person used to do several different things while interacting with your business. They used to send out tweets, so they had different interactions on social media networks, became Facebook fans, tweeted, commented, placed blog posts, shared different resources, and so on. If you are in the online business, for example, as with Sitefinity, people were simply they were requesting demos, and that was logged in the CRM, or they were interacting with your website, maybe submitting contact us forms or something else, maybe giving you guys a call through the phone numbers on your website, and that probably got recorded in your CRM system. If they got engaged in an email campaign, that was something that your marketing team was in charge of, so they rolled in for different marketing campaigns, for newsletters and so on, and your marketing team contacted them. If they landed on your website, that gets recorded in your website's analytics. And if they use some sort of a mobile application, then that gets logged in somewhere else. So you see that a lead is actually interfacing with, he's interacting with your business through different channels. And what a marketing guy finds it's really hard to do is to comprehend the big picture, use the information from all these channels, and sum up a clear picture for this lead, for this individual from those different channels. Because it's really hard to analyze and aggregate all that information, analyze it, and then come up to a conclusion that this guy is really a hot lead, that is somebody who we should spend a lot of time with. So indeed, the customer engages on a growing number of channels, and as you can imagine, when he goes to your website, he demands a personal conversation. He needs his specific requirements to be addressed, he needs to find the answer to his own questions, and he needs to do that in a very user-friendly way. He cannot be bothered with going through a lot of pages, reading different materials. If he has to do this, he's simply going to quit your website. He's not going to spend his time over there. And the marketer, he has scattered data and tooling to engage with the customer. All the information about his different interactions is scattered across different platforms. It's really hard to aggregate this information, divide users into groups, and understand their behavior by manually analyzing the data that you have throughout all those different channels by a single person. So we have no good way to understand and influence the customer behavior because it's really hard to get the big picture, understand it right away, and then react appropriately. So that's the main problem. That's the problem with the customer journey, and we need to understand that customer journey. We need to, because all those different actions, all those different interactions, those are part of the customer journey. And indeed, deeply understanding customers is a growth driver. So let me give you a few comparisons, and then I'm going to show you how those the solutions that we suggest are really built into the digital experience cloud, the platform that we have created to accompany Sitefinity and to provide you with all those different insights. So this is the traditional approach to marketing. We spend a lot of money to broadcast a message. We have a new product, so we spend a lot of money for radio, for television, for internet marketing, pay-per-click campaigns, advertising on different websites and so on, so that we get traffic. However, we get traffic which is unqualified. We have people that are really interested in our products, as well as people that just randomly clicked on some banner because they like the picture, because they hit the button by error or something else. And we're trying to convert as many of those guys as possible, but we cannot understand who is a quality lead. We do not understand who, what are the requirements, what are the questions that each of our customers has. So we try to use the same approach, which is impersonal, ineffective, it's quite expensive to get some conversions. Yes, we do get some conversions of that, but that is ineffective because we target a lot of people in an impersonal way. So, what is the data-driven approach to marketing? Well, this chart kind of sums it up. We have a new customer that goes into a website for some reason, then we target him personally. We qualify this visitor. We understand what his needs are by different criteria, by different characteristics that this guy has. For example, we know where he is from. This is some information that you can get from his IP address. There are even companies that provide you with information about which company this person logs in from. For example, if he is from Microsoft, IBM, and so on, and they can provide you with that information. We can also see which time of the day it is where this guy is at, and we can serve messaging according to that. Saying something like, good morning, did you have your morning coffee? Did you know that this is something that could go well or that can be useful before you start your business day? That is just an example how you can target this guy with depending on his present time of day. We can also track his existing behavior, for example, things that he has searched for through our website, and we can use that information to serve very customized, customer-centric, personalized message. Then we have a happy customer because what we are serving him really resonates well with his behavior, with what he has been looking for. Then this is how he becomes a happy customer. But with his activities throughout our website and the different systems he uses to interact with our business, we learn. We understand what he needs. We understand his needs better. We understand what he wants to achieve, and we learn what works better with this guy and guys like him. So we learn and we optimize. We change our website, we personalize it, we optimize the customer journey, and then personally communicate that value, which brings more value to each new customer, and that circle closes down, that cycle closes down, and we optimize our website. It becomes better and better, so that we get more value, we give more value to our customers, we get better performance, and then our newer customers are happier, and we still continue learning by their behavior. So this is a really highly effective method. Now, this is the traditional approach to driving growth, as I mentioned. So we spend a lot of time and a lot of money to attract more and more people, and only a few of those, the qualified leads, would be the ones that would really purchase our products or subscribe for our services and so on. So we put everybody in the funnel, and only the few people that squeeze through that funnel that we get to approach, and really our product resonates with their needs and so on, only those would come out in the end. So you have no way to prioritize the people that matter to your business or really care for the activities or products that you know will make you more efficient and relevant. So this is the traditional approach to driving growth. And the data-driven approach to driving growth is a bit different. So you know who your potential customers are, you drive their customer journey, and this is how you make them happy customers. And that increases their lifetime value because they become more loyal, they stick around, and you are easily able to identify those people, to focus on them, to invest in their customer journey, and then they would give the value that they bring to your business, and they drive your growth. So we need an effective way to understand who those targeted groups are and invest in their customer journey becoming better. And the traditional approach to optimization, well, let's face it, a lot of guys, they just do not have the insight. They do not have all the information. So what they do is they try to just figure out something looking at the Google Analytics data. There's a lot of guesswork involved in why this page is performing better and why this page isn't, or why our product is selling, why this one isn't. And if you have some data, well, let's try to analyze it. But if we cannot really analyze our data because we have no idea what this means, then let's see what we all think. And of course, the person with the most influence in the team will try to force his opinion and go with that. So that is a really often observed behavior, and this is something that might or might not work. So if this person or this group is right, then you will have some success. Hopefully it's data-driven, and the data-driven decisions are the best. However, it's really hard to analyze, aggregate the information throughout all the channels and go with that. So the data-driven approach to optimization is the best. So you see who already achieved some goals, like who already purchased your products, who already subscribed for your services. You learn from the customer success. So you see what you did fine, what worked for those customers. You find the key steps that we need to perform. You optimize your website. You find the best next experience, and you apply it to your website. That increases the conversion, and this closes the cycle, and you learn from the customer success, you learn from the customer journey, and you find the unique insights which affected that customer journey. You kind of reverse engineer that, apply the findings that you got into your website so that it performs better. So this is the data-driven approach to optimization. And the traditional approach to showing results, this is a funny graphic that we created to illustrate it. And this is a really interesting quote. Half of the marketing budget is wasted. We know that. The problem is we do not know which half, which means we're doing something right so that we get those people to buy our products, to subscribe for our newsletters, subscribe for our services, or revisit our website. However, we are not exactly sure what part of our effort is the efficient one that really drives people. We know we're doing something right, we're not exactly sure which part of what we're doing is the one thing that really works. And the data-driven approach to showing results is to analyze the customer journey, to see what steps people have gone through, which is exactly analyzing big data, and then connecting action and result. So analyzing those different steps and measuring which ones worked and which ones didn't. So all these are solutions that are being brought to you by the Digital Experience Cloud. So this is the mature marketing model which it is bringing, and I will show you how right away. So first, you assemble information from different channels, and you build your customer journey database. Then you profile customers, you put them into different personas, and then you score your leads according to ones that are hot ones that need to be approached urgently, or ones that you need to kind of tackle a bit more so that they get more interested in your business. Your business goals, you track what goals your whole website and what your online presence is serving. Should those guys buy something? Should those guys subscribe for something? Should those guys submit a contact form? Should those guys click on a link? Those are the goals that each and every website has. So you track those goals, and then you dynamically segment your customers into different groups depending on their behavior. Then also you kind of analyze the information that you have. You analyze the successful stories of the customers that achieved your goals here, and you create predictions on how the others might get affected based on the successful stories. You predict what the best next action is. So you have those recommendations. You create those changes, you apply those recommendations to your website by creating campaigns, and then you measure the whole behavior, the whole experience, get results, and then you start personalizing your website, applying those changes, and predicting the results that are going to occur after those personalizations. So this is the problem, and this is a good solution for your problem. Now, let's see how Sitefinity Digital Experience Cloud does this. And I'm going to presume that not everybody has already seen Sitefinity, so I'm going to go through the following scenario. Let's imagine we have this sample website. It's called the Quantum website. It's a website that deals with creating and selling different gadgets like tablets, laptops, and all kind of different devices. Okay? So how we're going to tackle this is we're going to imagine that we have a new marketing campaign of sort, and we need to be able to understand what customers are doing throughout the website, and we need to address specific user groups with very targeted messaging. Okay, and then we're going to analyze their behavior. We're going to see what works for them or not. So before we start off, I'm quickly going to create a new page so that you have a clear idea. For those of you who haven't seen Sitefinity in action, we're going to go through that and see how this whole project goes. So this is the Sitefinity backend. I'm not going to go to deep explanation of how this works. I'm quickly going to go through the standard tasks for every marketing person out there, and I'm going to create a new page. So let's call this my product marketing campaign. All right. And I'm going to choose an existing template, just create the page based on some template. And we're going to start adding some content to this page really quickly. So let's go ahead and drag and drop a few widgets like this. So 2 blocks here, I'm going to drag and drop an image widget in the left column and the content block in the right column. So let's start off with a generic message for all our users. Let's just choose an image. I'm going to upload an image from my computer. This one, just dragging and dropping it here. And I'm going to add this image to our page. Now this image has a bit of a white space, so I'm just going to edit it right through my browser really quickly here. And I'm going to crop this image just slightly so that we don't waste a lot of space. And plug this image into our website right away. Okay, and in the content block we can put some information that might be relevant for this marketing campaign. So I'm going to just pretend we're having some sort of campaign for maybe some eco-friendly laptops or some campaign for recycling. So what we're going to do is just take some content from Word and copy and paste it here. So recycle your laptops with Quantum. Okay, making this a heading 1. This is the page that we've just generated. We've done this really quickly, really easily. This is how it looks for desktop devices. This is how it looks for smartphones and tablets. All right, we created that page in order to drive some traffic, to have people, if we have some sort of promotion so that people get some discount and recycle their laptops, they provide it to you, then you give them discount for new laptops or for new gadgets that they buy through the website. Let's put it like this. However, what happens now? This is a really generic message that might or might not resonate with different audiences that we have. One of the options that Sitefinity provides you with is a personalization capability. That's the ability for you to target the messaging for different user groups. So what we can do here is we can go to the marketing section and play with the personalization a little bit. So indeed, personalization is targeting different user groups with specific messages. So how do we start off with? Well, let's start with the more kind of static type of personalization. So we need to define what our user audiences are. If you are so you typically use your analytics and you know your content, so you know what pages you have. You might have pages for business users. In this case, with the Quantum website, we might have pages for, let's say, developers. We might have enterprise customer pages for CIOs, for CEOs, and so on, with very specific offerings, with discounts if you buy in bulk, if you're supplying your whole company, which requires maybe 100 laptops. So you get them bigger deals, you get them enterprise level of service, and so on. So those are different audiences that you might expect to come to your website. And what you can start off with is you can start personalizing your pages for those different audiences. So let's create a user segment. And I'm going to call this enterprise customers from London. Then we can use different characteristics to identify those user segments. Let's take a look at those characteristics. These are the static ones that are already built into Sitefinity. Like the IP address, you can target people from different IP addresses or everybody but those guys with those IP addresses. Then you can use characteristics like landing URLs. Those are all different identifiers by which you can track and you can target different groups. And as you can imagine, those of you, some of those actually work for anonymous visitors, because the browser carries the information for IP address, for landing URL, their current location, because their IP address can be mapped to a specific location. So the landing URL is the URL that they landed on your website at. The referral URL is the page or your website that contains a link to your website, or maybe with a marketing campaign that contains some sort of URL that you used to promote your product, your website, and your visitors clicked on that. Search keywords, be that from an external search engine or from your internal website's search. Depending on which search engines provide that information, you have different ability to use it or not. Present time of day, where those guys at, previously visited pages, visit duration. This is all information that you can gather for anonymous visitors, because you don't need people to be registered or logged into your website to gather that information. Now, there are different other characteristics which we can obtain once people are certain are logged in. For example, let's see, profile fields. If those guys have registered for your website, then you can use any information from their current their profile, their account, like their first name, last name, age, gender, maybe company they work for, and so on. If they are logged in, you might know which groups they belong to in your website. So, for example, you might have enterprise customers, you might have business customers, like small business, small maybe home users or home office users. You might put your registrants into different groups depending on their behavior, and you can use those groups right here, just so you can use their previous purchases, and we get to those in a few minutes. So let's create our enterprise customers from London. Let's say enterprise customers are those who, for example, of course, if they're from London, then the location is London, and we use MaxMind GeoIP database. We have integration with that database so that the IP of the visitor is mapped towards a specific location, like in this case, London. And then what would make our customers enterprise? Well, let's say we have maybe some sort of page which is specifically targeted for enterprise customers. Let's say it's this one. And we want to say, okay, so these people, and you can see we have this or and logic. So we need these people to comply with both requirements, both conditions. Those guys are from London, and one of their previously visited pages is exactly that one. So we need to go to, hold on, this is under inside Quantum block. Okay, and this defines our user segment. Those are the two conditions that he has to comply with in order to fall under that segment. So let's create this segment. And now we know that this is a specific group of people that we need to target with a specific message. How do we do that? Well, we go to the pages, we go to our marketing campaign that we just created, and then we will personalize this page. So we will change our generic messaging to resonate better with these guys. We haven't even touched with the digital experience cloud yet, so we're going into that in just a second. So we're going to choose the enterprise customers from London, and what happens is Sitefinity allows us to personalize this page. It creates a duplicate version of this page, and we can change it to anything we need. So here we can, for example, change this image to something that would resonate better with these guys. Actually, hold on. I just need to change the image to something else. So maybe if it's for eco-friendly laptops, I'm going to use something else. For example, this image. And then we can change our messaging right away. Say something like, did you know that, for example, 150 million tons of waste are produced in London annually? Help us stop that. So we're targeting those people from London right away. We are changing our messaging and our image with something that we know or we are presuming will resonate better with that specific audience. And you can personalize your pages based on that, and you can you can try to influence those guys better and serve them very targeted and more influencing messages like that. So let's publish this. And by the way, guys, I see that a lot of you have pasted some questions in the GoToMeeting questions box. Please keep on doing that. We will have a Q&A session by the end of this presentation, and I will do my best to address all your questions. And by the way, I can see that part of our team is already addressing some of those questions, and thank you, Luhit, for that. So we have just created our personalized version of our page. All right. Now, here's how that works. We can go and open the personalization section. We can actually preview how our personalization works. By the way, you can notice which pages have been personalized because they're tagged with this kind of marking right here. And you can see which segments those pages have been personalized for. Now, what we're going to do is go into the personalization section, and we're going to preview the whole website as, meaning that we can see how the website would appear for different user segments. So this is how our page appears for everybody. This is the default messaging that we serve to anybody. And just to give you an idea of the personalization, now we have created a segment for customers who have purchased notebooks, because they probably do not need to see that message. They already got a notebook. They don't need to see this. If we identify that they have already purchased a notebook based on their previous purchases, we can serve them different message. Now, our product marketing campaign, the page that we created together, this is how it appears for everybody. It says recycle your laptops with Quantum, but we know that we created a personalization for the enterprise customers from London. And these guys would see a slightly different message that would resonate better with them because we know where they come from. We kind of know what those subgroups preferences are, and we know how to influence them better. Okay, so this is how the personalization works. And I mentioned that those criteria, those characteristics that we use are kind of static because we use sort of like static conditions. We have, okay, those people are from London, but they're different groups from London. And I might be somebody from London, but I might be traveling all across the world. So it's not that precise of a personalization, or it's not that precise targeting. So what do? We use a digital experience cloud. We use the customer journey analysis to segment our audiences and target those guys. And here's how it works. Now, you can subscribe for a demo of the digital experience cloud. Um, the URL is dec.sitefinity.com, and you can sign up for a demo. What you're seeing here is different data centers because you can work with different projects and you can aggregate information from different resources. A data center is a collection for different resources um, from multiple projects. So let's say I have a data center, this quantum project that you see here, and it aggregates information from my CRM, from my website, and from my email marketing campaign tool. So I feed information from all those different resources. They are all being stored in this specific data center. And the dashboard, it contains some very important information that I want to see by a first glance. I can see how many conversions I had, so how many of my visitors actually became customers. Then I have some recommendations on how to get more conversions, how many people fell into different personas, what touch points have been more efficient, most efficient, and what leads I have to address really quickly because they have become hot leads. I will now explain all of these. They are somewhat related to, actually they are 100% related to those slides that you saw in the beginning. So first, just let me get back to these. Cross-channel data and customer journey database. So analyzing information from different resources. This is exactly what we're doing here. We're connecting multiple resources to the digital experience cloud. And we are feeding this system with information about what our customers are doing. And then we can segment our visitors according to their behavior into different user segments or different groups we call personas. As you can see, we have defined several personas here. We have business users, CIOs, developers, and so on. What makes a person be qualified as business user? Well, those are different rules that we have for that persona. Those rules can be easily defined by you. So we create a persona and we designate some sort of threshold, a number of points that people need to score in order to become members of that persona. And then we start adding rules because we know the content of our website and we can create different rules. For example, people submitted a contact us form and we have one that is located here under About Us. So, for example, anybody who submitted that contact us form that might be targeted specifically for business users. So we can have people be identified as business users if they submitted that form. Oops. Right. And each action can give them a specific number of points. For example, submitting that form can give them 10 points. Then we can use other things like they visited a specific page. Maybe a personalized page. Maybe they subscribe to a forum post which is related to business users. Maybe they participated in a campaign, or they visited, I don't know, they probably came from a website that is specifically for business type of users. So things like that, that can give them a specific amount of points. And once they aggregate enough points, they score enough points to reach the threshold, this is where they start being qualified as maybe a business user or a developer and so on. And you can create those personas, you can create the rules for those personas, and that is a big difference here. Depending on the customer journey, depending on his actions, a customer becomes attributed to some persona. Maybe I have watched some videos, maybe I have read some blog posts, and that's why I was qualified as a business user. Maybe I also read some developer tutorials, but I did that quite less than visiting some business related pages. So I had less attribution to developer. Maybe I'm, let's say, 15% developer, but I'm 60% business user. So I will fall more under that persona. And then once the system has analyzed my behavior and it knows which persona I belong to, you can easily go here in the personalization, and apart from using those static characteristics, you can use the personas from the Digital Experience Cloud. And you can personalize pages for business users or for CIOs, for developers, or any other personas that you have in the Digital Experience Cloud. So you can then target those people depending on their behavior. And the sweetest part here is that people's behavior will change with due course of time, and you will be able to react to that behavior, and you will be able to address those different groups of people. You will be able to target them based on their behavior, knowing what they're interested in. Then you can target them more in a more personal manner. Okay, what else do we have? Depending on their actions, you can also score them. So becoming an enterprise lead, there might be different rules for that as well. So if customer searches for an enterprise as a term, if he visits that page, if he visits that page, if he subscribes to this forum thread, that gives them, again, points. And depending on different levels of points that you have created for hot leads, most qualified leads, or leads, you can then attribute those guys and give them different scoring. And depending on that scoring, as you can see here, you can define those different stages. And then depending on that, you could trigger different actions. So if somebody becomes a hot lead, you can send a notification to your sales team that they need to contact this person. If somebody becomes a lead, then you might send a notification that they need to, this guy needs to be approached via email, maybe in a more personalized manner. Maybe you can add this guy to a marketing campaign, and you can send him some sort of email to welcome him on board, to offer him some products and so on. If this guy gets more points because of his actions or your website that you define by rules, then you might trigger another notification to your sales team saying, you know what, this guy, we need to approach him right now because he has shown interest in our products, and we need to call this guy personally and see what he's interested in, maybe offer him some promotions, maybe offer him a discount, push him to buy. Same for most qualified leads. So you can trigger reactions, and you can engage with that person based on the score that he has as a lead. So much about scoring. Now, the conversions. This is something that we also mentioned. you have each website has its own specific goals. So for example, this website, one of its goals might be for business users and enterprise customers to go and, okay, let me go to the front end. So one of the purposes of this website is for enterprise customers to purchase different products. For developers, they might not be the end customer, but those guys, we need them to stick around because they are influencers. So we might want them to go and read our blog. And that might be another goal for different segment. Other people, then we might want them to be able to contact us and submit a contact us form. Or another segment might be another target and goal of our website would be for people to subscribe to our newsletter so that we have them in our marketing database, and then we approach these guys through marketing campaigns. So those all can be different goals that we can set throughout our website. So here's what we do. We can define what a conversion is. So a visitor, for example, going and subscribing to our forum, maybe subscribing to a newsletter, or making a purchase, maybe visiting our shop, that can be a conversion that we're looking forward to. After you define a conversion, this is what Sitefinity will do for you. It will create a report analyzing everybody who has already achieved that goal. So for people that have already subscribed for your product, for your newsletter and so on, it will analyze what those guys have been through. And you can enhance that by defining your touch points. The most essential actions that your website offers people to perform, different pages that you have, different videos that you allow them to review, clicking on different links that your pages offer. For example, this quantum website, we have this call to action, this order button, which might lead us to a personalized page, or those different links here with product information. So those might be touch points that you would like to register into your website. So actions that you provide people with the ability to do, to perform, and then you can measure how those actions work. So our conversion tracking, it will analyze things that people have done, and it will analyze your touch points. So it will tell you which one of those touch points worked the best or the worst for reaching the goal that you had. Again, conversion tracking means defining a goal. Sitefinity Digital Experience Cloud analyzes the behavior of customers who have already achieved that goal. And it creates a sort of a decision tree, seeing analyzing what the customer journey was, what different groups of people did, and what are the actions that seem to have led to those goals the best. And it's really easy to see that in the dashboard as well. We have that amount of conversions, and we can see what touch points attributed the best for a specific goal. So we have sending people to a personalized version of your homepage. Apparently, it has a specific attribution rate, and that's the highest, which is more than sending everybody to your default homepage. Apparently, we have some sort of document that also attributed to people becoming enterprise leads and purchasing a product. Maybe we also have some sort of blog post or a video that has high attribution to that. And then you have negative attribution. So people saw that video, and apparently people who saw this, they got out of the website, and that had negative attribution to achieving those goals. And again, touchpoint attribution, this is analyzing how each of those actions that you allow people to perform throughout your website, visiting pages, click on links, watching videos, reading blog posts, each one of these content items that you offer through your website, how that attributed to reaching a specific goal. George, I hope that answers your question. The Digital Experience Cloud analyzes those goals, analyzes what customers have done before reaching those goals, and it kind of provides you with results, with conclusions. Which one of those actions led to the desired outcome and which ones had negative or neutral impact. And then it provides you with recommendations, and that's a really key point. The Digital Experience Cloud shows you gives you recommendations what you can do to improve your website, what personalizations you can perform, how you can change your pages, serve targeted messaging to different user groups so that it resonates better with them. Maybe if visiting that page attributed a lot towards reaching a specific goal, then you can personalize your page showing a big link to that specific article or that specific page. Obviously, that action led to the desired result. Actually, that led your visitors to purchase a product. So why not market or advertise this page better so that you have more conversions? So after you have those recommendations provided to you by the Digital Experience Cloud, you can then start a campaign. What a campaign is you can analyze for a specific set of, like a period of time, maybe a month or 2 months or 3 months. After you have made those personalizations, perform those changes based on those recommendations, then you can actually analyze if that affected your website for the better or the worse. You can see if you had increase of conversion rate based on the changes that you've made. You can start a campaign like that and actually analyze how that's impacted your website's conversion. Exactly this. So we went through persona profiling. Based on their behavior, we put people in different personas. Then goal tracking. Depending on what goals your website has for the people to do, you track those goals by using that conversion tracking option. Then you have dynamic segmentation. You score people and you put them into different personas based on their dynamic behavior, which might change in due course of time. Then you have predictive analytics. You get recommendations on so you first of all have analytics on which touch point or which action attributed better or worse towards the reaching of a specific goal. And then you have recommendations, what you can do to improve your website. Then you can start a campaign by applying changes to your website that were recommended and see how those changes actually worked. And as you can see here, we had an increase of conversion rate based on that recommendation, which is to show people some specific page, personalize our pages and give them a link to that page. And then you can analyze how that affected your website and then increase your website's performance and achieving those goals, having more people achieve those goals based on those analytics, those conclusions that the Digital Experience Cloud allows you to have. And I know that we have just a few more minutes, so I'm going to go really quickly through your questions to address those right away. So what is reverse engineering, George? This is actually going from the end result towards the beginning of the customer journey. It's exactly this. Reverse engineering means You analyze what people did through the website to achieve a specific goal. You already know what the goal is. You have people purchasing a specific product. So they got here and they bought your website, that product. We reverse engineer their customer journey. So we go, we track back what other steps they made before buying that product. We ignore the people that did not buy, that dropped out. We focus on the people that did achieve those goals, that bought this product, and we see what steps he went through. So we analyze what those steps were, and we see which one we kind of we divide our audiences, and we see people that dropped out versus people that bought. What was the thing that differentiates those groups? What is the most efficient thing that they did? Maybe click on a link, maybe watch a video that led them to the decision to purchase. We focus on those things, and we change our website based on that. This is reverse engineering. Do you have any insights, advices as to best practices to convert visitors into identifiable customer profiles that can be identified with DEC? Pablo, um, there are many different things to identify customer profiles. So, for example, people submitting a contact us form, that is something that would make them identifiable. Then if you use information from different resources, for example, if you connect your website and, for example, a CRM to the same to the DC, then you might use different characteristics, maybe IP addresses, maybe something else that would match, and then identify people as specific users into DC.